Points for DeJounte Murray to go along with 11 assists.
Spurs led in the fourth quarter, but fall tonight in Chicago, 120-109. This is Spurs React on Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI. I'm Chris Duel. Let's listen into Bill Schoening.
9 rebounds and 4 assists. And again, Devin Vassell just 2 of 10 from the field. He struggled tonight. Remember, Vassell was averaging 17 points per game as a starter in the 2 previous starts, as he took the place of Derek White in the starting lineup after the trade deadline when White ended up with the Boston Celtics. Again, Murray with 19, 21 for Walker. Let's see here. Zach Collins had 9 points and 2 boards in 18 minutes. Josh Primo had 2 points and a rebound in 21 minutes. Keita Bates-Diop, 13 minutes. He was 4 for 7 from the field, 8 points and 3 boards for Bates-Diop. Trey Jones played 12 minutes but did not score. DeRozan leads the way for Chicago, 40 points for DeMar DeRozan on 16 of 24, again 19 in the fourth. 25 points for Vucevic, who added 16 rebounds and also 5 assists. 24 points for Cody White, who was 5 of 6 beyond the arc. 7 points for Javonte Green, 12 for Ayo Dosunmu, who found out of the ballgame. He was 5 of 9 from the field. He finished with 4 assists and 3 rebounds and 12 points. And off the bench, Brown had 8 points and 6 boards. That's Troy Brown Jr., 4 points and 7 rebounds for Derrick Jones Jr. It adds up to 120 for the Bulls and 109 for the Spurs. Again, the Spurs see their record drop to 22-36, and they'll wind up the 5-game leg, the first 5-game leg of the Rodeo Road Trip against Oklahoma City on a Wednesday night. Spurs Radio continues in a moment. Todd thought it would be...
That's Bill Schoening, his post-game. Hello, Beth Settle. Hello, Luisa Alanis. Hello, Austin Brown. Spurs were leading in this game 97-96 with a little over 8 minutes remaining. Chicago took a lead after that, 97-98, and did not lose that lead again. Chicago finished with a 16-6 run down the stretch. Ryan Pepe Brown, welcome in. Yeah, Spurs had won 3 out of 4 coming into this one. Chicago's very, very good. Spurs, 2 costly turnovers late in the game and a blocked shot really spelled their doom late. But, coming in 1-3 out of 4, 2-2 right now on the Rodeo Road Trip. Hello, Arthur Butler. Welcome in, Arthur Butler. Beth Settle. Rubiana Haney says the starters lost the game. Bill Schoening back on the air here in a moment with more of his wrap-up. We're still in the here comes Bill.
Rodeo Trip. They'll play Game 5 of the Rodeo Trip against Oklahoma City on Wednesday. That's Whataburger. What's next? The Spurs at Oklahoma City Wednesday night. That game, by the way, televised by Bally's. In fact, Bally Sports Southwest has the next 3 games on TV. At Oklahoma City, Wednesday, 7 o'clock tip. We'll be on the air at 6:30 with Spurs Radio Game Night. Then Friday at Washington, that's Friday, February 25th, because the All-Star break, of course, will take place. So a nice long break between games for the Spurs. Friday at Washington, as the final leg of the Rodeo Road Trip will begin. Saturday at Miami, that's the 26th. That's actually the 25th and the 26th. At Washington on Friday, at Miami on Saturday. And the 6 o'clock tip for the Friday night game, 7 o'clock tip for the Miami game. All games 107.5 in Spanish with our amigo Paul Castro, and of course here on the Spurs Radio Network. Next game coming up at Oklahoma City, and that game will tip at 7 o'clock, 6:30 airtime on the Spurs Radio Network. Whataburger, what's next? The final score from Chicago, 120-109. The Bulls with the win over the Spurs. This is Spurs Radio.
Brought to you by Capital One Shopping. Capital One Shopping.
You're next, bud.
Searches for available.
So is it my regular segment next?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're still waiting for the coach.
Yeah, and again, I can't see you, so
Yeah.
tell me in my ear.
Yeah, I will.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go through the scores. If I don't hear you, I'm going to wrap it.
That's fine.
It's a big deal. The idea, that's a big one. Your growth.
Then you go however quick you want to go, because I gotta wait for Bill.
Yeah, I'm thinking 5,
That's fine. Okay.
which is the time that my shift begins tomorrow on WAI.
Benefiting them benefits you. And with a variety of Blue Cross health insurance options.
It's Michael Bartlett I'm talking to. Jimmy Munoz, welcome in from Midland, Texas.
And your bottom line even healthier.
Ofa Lin joins us from Singapore tonight. Welcome in, Ofa Lin. One of the greatest. Ofa, you may be the second greatest international Spurs fan. Of course, Taro Kotani, because he's come here 16 times, we give him the name as the greatest international Spurs fan. But you're up there, Ofa Lin. Wes Perkins. Thank you, Wes Perkins. And a happy Valentine's Day to everybody watching right now, including Beth Settle. Happy Valentine's Day. Frank Ramirez, Joe Garcia.
New Spicy Lovers Pizza. No one out pizzas the Hut. Product availability and prices may vary. Exclusions apply.
Oh, that's Joe Garcia from the Two Shots podcast. I got a couple of Joe Garcias. I got a Joe Garcia from Pueblo, Colorado, who comes in here as well. Fonzie J. Rodriguez, welcome from LA. Michelle Johnson from Marysville, Kansas, welcome in. Here we go.
Most of the time, put the radio on when I'm at home. Hey, this is a great scenario.
Use Radio 1200 when you're at home. WOAI.
From the Spurs Net Center, I'm Chris Duel. Final tonight from the United Center in Chicago. The Bulls beat the San Antonio Spurs 120-109 in game number 4 of the Rodeo Road Trip. Programming note on the flagship station, Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI. Our Spurs React is coming up in just a few moments. But first, right now, let's take a look at the NBA scoreboard. 8 other games in the NBA right now. Some games in progress. Midway third quarter in Denver, Nuggets lead the Orlando Magic by 20, 73-53. 17 for the Joker, Nikola Jokic, in that one. In Salt Lake City, early third quarter, Utah Jazz all over the Houston Rockets, 91-67. Some final scores: Wizards beat the Pistons 103-94. It was the Brooklyn Nets over the Sacramento Kings 109-85. The Spurs' next opponent, the Oklahoma City Thunder, won on the road tonight in overtime at Madison Square Garden over the Knicks, 127-123 in OT. Spurs will be in Oklahoma City next on Wednesday night. 48 hours from now, that game will be going on. In Milwaukee, the Trailblazers get a road win at the Bucks tonight, 122-107. Pelicans beat the Raptors 120-90. One other game out west a little bit later at the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. The Clippers will host the Golden State Warriors. Once again, Spurs React coming up on the flagship station, Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI, and streaming live video on 1200 WOAI's Facebook and Twitter pages. After a quick wrap up from Bill Schoening at the iHeart Radio studios in San Antonio, where he broadcast remotely tonight as the Spurs fall at the United Center in Chicago, 120-109. Spurs Radio continues in a moment.
Spurs assistant coach Becky Hammond on inspiration.
I hope it's an inspiration to girls out there. Being the first woman to coach an NBA team.
Michael Phillips.
I've always been more inspired by the future.
Hello, Michael Phillips.
What I've done, but by what's coming next.
What do you want to do next? Whether it's buying a home, growing your wealth, or protecting
See,
your
Rubiana
assets,
says Devin Shot struggled tonight. Not enough firepower to offset DeMar. Yeah, DeMar DeRozan, man.
Visit SWBC.
He is having his best year of his career. 40 points tonight for DeMar DeRozan. Jimmy Munoz, welcome in. Yeah, DeMar had 19 points in that fourth quarter.
But the good news is Todd has AT&T 5G. It's fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast,
Yeah, Spurs had won
it's not complicated.
3 out of 4 and 2 in a row coming into this one tonight. And up until, the 8-minute mark of the fourth quarter, Spurs' last lead was 97-98. At the 8:08 mark, DeMar DeRozan with a driving basket to make it 98-97 Chicago. Spurs would never lead again. Chicago went on a 16-6 run down the stretch. What up, Michael Phillips?
Go to austinspurs.com.
Jason Salinas. Here's Bill with a wrap.
Welcome back to the Spurs Radio Network. Again, the final score 120 to 109. Chicago with the win over the San Antonio Spurs. The final numbers 52% from the field, 42% from three-point range for Chicago, 48% for the Spurs, and 6 of 20 from three-point range. We're pleased to be joined by assistant coach Becky Hammond, who now joins us from Chicago. Becky, first of all, just your overall thoughts on tonight's game.
Oh, I mean, obviously a tough game coming in here. We know they're, one of the top teams in the East. Fourth quarter obviously got away from us a little bit. But really, I thought it was a good battle up until that fourth when they just got in the paint a little too much on us.
Yeah, they scored 37 points in the fourth quarter, and obviously they relied a lot
Well,
on
this is a loop.
And you know very well, Becky, when he gets on a roll, no matter what kind of defense you
Yeah,
play
I'm
on
going
him, it's
shorter
very, very
now.
tough to
That's
stop
fine.
him.
Like, this was literally supposed to be the
Yeah,
close,
exactly.
so
Like,
just be mindful in case he
they talk about
tosses to you.
Okay.
If he-
shooters, right?
if he
And,
does,
we definitely know his game.
I'll just
it's
lock
too
it out.
bad. I didn't think we locked in.
Yeah,
as
well,
as we
it's the
could've,
close. That's
on
the
that
thing.
defensive
Like,
plan,
this is the
especially down
close.
stretch.
Right.
Yeah. So I would,
but we're getting
yeah, I
educated.
just,
So,
don't know.
we just went over
I'll just say
some
once
with the
again the
guys
final
already,
score, and I'll lock it out.
about what the defense should
do
look
you
like.
know the out
And
cue?
our defense
No, we don't
should
need the out
plan
cue.
tomorrow
We'll just
in
get
the
out.
fourth quarter, and hopefully we execute better next time.
If
Yeah,
he
I know the
screws it up, he
rebounding
screws
numbers
it
are
up.
disappointing tonight because they out-rebounded you by 20 this evening.
Yeah, I mean, we are somebody that we everybody got to be on the glass. We don't have, that one guy that's going to get 15 or 16. Jakob's pretty good down there, but he can't do it all on his own. Everybody got to get in, dig some out, and they didn't hurt us on second chance putbacks, but it would be nice to instead of them getting another opportunity, we're taking the ball to the other end.
On the bright spot, Lonnie Walker came out aggressively again for the second straight game off the bench. 17 shots taken in 26 minutes. What did you think of Lonnie's performance?
Good. We like him when he's aggressive. He was engaged tonight and aggressive, and he's, arguably every night he's the most athletic guy on the court. So when he comes out and he's assertive and he doesn't play around with the ball and just goes, north-south drives and stuff like that, we love him, especially when he's engaged defensively. He can be a lock-up defender when he's engaged. So good things seeing from him. And, last couple games, I thought he's been very solid.
Becky, a couple of new players joined you in Chicago. There's Romeo Langford was there today, and Josh Richardson. When do you think we might see those guys get a little playing time?
That's not my area.
You don't determine
you
that?
ever get to interview Coach Pop? You ever get to interview him?
Not very often, no.
I don't know.
Okay,
No. We'll we got to get them acclimated. They got to learn our sets
Sure.
and trying to learn what we're doing out there. So, we'll see what happens.
Okay, your final thoughts on Oklahoma City. They beat New York on the road tonight. That'll be the final game before the Rodeo Road Trip. I know you always want to end the first leg of the trip before the All-Star break on a very good note.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who we're playing. It's got to be about us. We got to come in and compete for the full 48. If we do that, we take care of business. We should be fine.
Okay, Becky, thank you very much for the time. We appreciate it, and have a safe trip to Oklahoma City.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That is Becky Hammond, her post-game comments. Again, the Spurs falling tonight 120 to 109 as the Bulls scored 37 points in the fourth quarter to pull away. A lot of people to thank for the broadcast this evening. The Senior Director of Broadcasting, Mike Ciccarello. Liz Canonas handles commercial traffic along with Leah Resendez. Our broadcast engineer, Sam Walters. Our statistician, Walter Stoops. Next game for the Spurs at OKC, 7 o'clock tip Wednesday. We'll be on the air at 6:30 with Spurs Radio Game Night. As always, for all things Spurs, follow us on Twitter, Spurs.com, or the Spurs app. And now for our studio producer, that's Mike Bartlett, our studio host, Chris Duel. This is Bill Schoening. Thank you for joining us this evening. The final score, 120 to 109, Chicago with a win over the Spurs. This has been a presentation of Spurs Sports and Entertainment and the National Basketball Association. All rights reserved. Good night, everybody.
Spurs.
Bill Schoening, wrapping up the regular broadcast.
The game we live for, the codes we live by, and by iHeartMedia. Germania Insurance, a proud sponsor of your San Antonio Spurs. If you're a big fan of the Spurs, then Germania is a big fan of yours too.
3 to 5.
I'm fine with 3. You do you.
Yep, 3 to 5.
That's fine.
Better combination to have in the paint than Germania and you. Let them show you why Germania's hustles made them the insurance.
I'm back here in 6 hours.
Visit online at GermaniaInsurance.com.
That includes travel time.
To request a free quote. Germania Insurance.
I'm Dr. Ahmed Mizani.
Joe Garcia in here from the Two Shots podcast. Wes Perkins featured on that podcast frequently. Joe says Lonnie Walker has some spectacular games, but the issue is he does not do this on a consistent basis. With the advent of Primo, I think Lonnie Walker has become expendable at the end of the season. I don't believe Lonnie Walker fits with the current Spurs timeline. Joe Garcia's opinion, not my opinion, but that's his. Here we come.
This is Game Night React on the home of the Spurs, Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI.
From the Spurs Net Center, I'm Chris Duel. Tough loss tonight for the San Antonio Spurs as the Chicago Bulls go on a 16-6 run to close out the game. Spurs led going into the fourth quarter, 89-83. Spurs led at the 8-minute mark, just above the 8-minute mark. Spurs' final lead was 97-96 until DeMar DeRozan with a driving layup gave the Bulls the lead at 98-97. From that moment, the Bulls would not trail again, and the Bulls really turned it on. A couple of costly turnovers by the Spurs late in the game and a blocked shot in addition to that that the Spurs suffered, and the Bulls just were there. DeMar DeRozan, in fact, 40 points for the Bulls tonight and 19 in the fourth quarter. This is Spurs React on Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI. We are streaming live video on 1200 WOAI's Facebook and Twitter pages as the Spurs now 2-2 on this Rodeo Road Trip. But Spurs fans who were listening to Bill Schoening's broadcast tonight and watching on Spurs television, I got to believe come away feeling that if the Spurs would have played in the final 8 minutes as well as they played in the first 40 minutes of this game, this is one that they could have won tonight. Chicago, however, takes care of business and wins it 120-109. Looking at some numbers from tonight's game, former Spur DeMar DeRozan. Bill Schoening and I talked about him in pregame, how he is, by many accounts, most people would agree that DeMar DeRozan having his best season as a pro. You heard the fans in the background at the United Center in Chicago, and Bill referenced them chanting MVP in that fourth quarter and down the stretch for DeMar DeRozan. He finishes with 40 points in 35 minutes. He had 3 rebounds, 7 assists, and as I mentioned, 19 points in the fourth quarter for DeMar DeRozan. I mean, he was a big difference, if not the big difference tonight for the Chicago Bulls. Nikola Vucevic, 25 points for the Bulls. They had also got Kobe White, got him 24 points tonight. So they certainly had a big 3 tonight in Vucevic, White, and DeMar DeRozan. 3 players going for 40, 25, and 24. For the San Antonio Spurs, they were led in scoring by Lonnie Walker, the fourth off the bench, with 21 points. Other Spurs, he was the only bench player coming off the bench for the Spurs to score in double figures. A couple of Spurs with 19 points. Doug McDermott, 19 points, 4 rebounds, and an assist. DeJounte Murray, a double-double tonight, 19 points, 11 assists. He also had 6 rebounds. 13 for Keldon Johnson to go with 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. 13 for Jakob Poeltl. He also had 9 rebounds and 4 assists. Devin Vassell, a little bit of an off night. We heard from Devin in the pregame. Devin, 2 of 10 from the field, 0 of 4 from three-point country. Devin Vassell finishes with 5 points tonight for the Spurs. You add it all up, and it's a Chicago Bulls victory over the Spurs, 120-109. Spurs 2-2 on this Rodeo Road Trip. They will try again on Wednesday night. That is at Oklahoma City. That Thunder team won in overtime tonight against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. Tip-off on Wednesday night just after 7 o'clock, so that means our Spurs radio game night with the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening, beginning at 6:30 on 1200 WOAI and across the Spurs radio network. For Bill Schoening, for in studio and on-site engineer Sam Walters, veteran statistician Walter Stoops, and the man who makes the entire broadcast go from beginning to end, that is Mr. Michael Bartlett. For those gentlemen, I'm Chris Duel. We will see you on Wednesday night, pregame 6:30 against Oklahoma City. The final score tonight from Chicago, the Bulls beat the San Antonio Spurs 120-109. This has been Spurs React on Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI.